Hey guys, got another Wild Eye releasing review for you, and this one was one that I was actually pretty excited to check out just because I'm a big fan of like really extreme, shocking horror. If anything's like getting kind of word that it's really shocking or really extreme or anything like that, I'm down with it. And so it had me intrigued when this thing had the little sub-label thing of raw and extreme, but I wasn't sure what to expect just because when I think of Wild Eye, I wasn't really thinking of like hardcore extreme cinema or whatever. So I wasn't really sure how extreme it was going to be, and it was low budget and everything. So I was really curious as to how extreme it was going to be, pretty much. But I found out that this director is actually a rising indie director in Italy. I think he's Italian, and I know he released a film on Unearthed called Red Crocodile, which I heard is really intense too, and it's like really gritty and the whole meth or the whole heroin kind of world or whatever. And I could see that whole vibe in this too, because this is kind of a really dirty, gritty film. It's because right off rip, when the opening credits come on, there's like a montage of actual photos from the Abu Ghraib prison over in Iraq, which was a big scandal in '03 or '04 or something. And they're really shocking pictures. And I remember back then when I heard of that whole scandal, I was kind of repulsed by the pictures, because if you've never heard of that whole thing, it's basically these American soldiers in Iraq that ran this prison, and it was like a private security that the American government funded to basically torture Iraqi people to get information to where to find Bin Laden and Saddam Hussein and all that, and the whole terrorist thing. But they were going like way beyond their means, and they were torturing these Iraqis, and they were like pizza drivers in Iraq and taxi drivers and all that. So the American government was going like really hardcore, and I don't want to get into all that or whatever, because there's mixed opinions on that whole thing. But it opens like with really grotesque, brutal pictures from that actual prison where, American soldiers were like literally raping them, humiliating them, making them stand on boxes hooded for hours and hours, and, putting attack dogs on them. And it was pretty grotesque stuff. But it opens with pictures of that. And then it flashes, and then once the credits are done, it flashes to this guy who has the creepiest look on his face like I've seen in a long time. Like, this dude's hardcore looking. He looks like, I don't know if you've ever seen Road Games or Stephen King's Storm of the Century, but he's like a splitting image of the main villain in that. But he has this really blank stare, and it's really eerie just the way this dude looks. But it's straight up, he wakes up, and he's just standing in front of his like glass sliding door up on this balcony, and he's literally just jerking off to looking at all the people on the street. And it's pretty shocked because the camera like lingers on it, and it shows it all in graphic detail. And it was pretty shocking going from these Abu Ghraib photos straight to this dude just doing these really intense things. It was really shocking. But essentially the story is this dude, because it shows him opening his closet and you see a soldier's uniform. So you put two and two together that this guy was in the Abu Ghraib prison. This is what I gathered from the movie here. This dude was in the Abu Ghraib prison, and I think he's just been so desensitized by seeing all this torture, all this depraved sexual acts to these prisoners, to where I think he's sent back to his home, and that's what he gets off on. That's what his whole life is now, is just these depraved sexual torture. And yeah, he's just going about his life. He's stalking this one girl who he abducts and wants to basically make his own personal sex doll, because there's a couple of scenes of him having sex with this sex doll and this really depraved nature, and you could tell the dude's not all there at all. He like looks in the mirror and jerks off and forces himself to smile, and he'll like be picking at his gums and bleed. It's really bizarre. And there's one scene that was really disturbing in particular. I don't want to give anything really away, but I just want to tell you this scene just so you know what you're getting into when you watch this movie. There's a scene where he is laying in a bathtub, and it shows this in graphic detail. The camera doesn't flinch away at all. it shows it. It's there in your face. He takes a razor blade and he just starts slicing his own, he just starts slicing his private parts. He's just doing genital mutilation on himself. And it's pretty hardcore film. This is the most shocking film I've seen in a while. You know what I mean? Like, when I think of hardcore shocking cinema, I obviously think of Martyrs and Inside and a lot of the stuff Unearthed Films put out and all that. And this is like, if you're a fan of Unearthed Films or just hardcore, just really shocking cinema, you want this in your collection. Like, this one, this was a really intense movie. I was blown away at how shocking this movie actually was. And the quality was stepped up a lot. Like, because usually in real low-budget movies, just the way they are in film, there's a lot of crushed blacks. They're just, you could tell by the film, or the actual look of the film, that it's really low budget, where you don't get this here. This is actually a really clean picture, really bright, really, it just seems a higher quality than the average, really low-budget film. And, it goes by pretty quick, given that there's zero dialogue at all. And it's all visually based, but this dude's performance, I don't know the guy's name. I think it's Tiziano Cella. This dude's performance is intense. Like, he could be a psycho killer in any movie and it would be hardcore. But I definitely recommend this just because I'm into shocking cinema. But this is definitely something, if you buy it, pop it in and watch it by yourself first. Because if you pop this on and your family's in the room, or people that don't really get horror and stuff, they're gonna wonder about you when you pop this in. Like, I actually texted my buddy while I was watching this. I was telling him scenes that were happening, and it's intense, it's repulsive, it's really hardcore, And I was repulsed by the Abu Ghraib pictures, even when they were released years ago. And the fact that they show you the most intense of all the Abu Ghraib photos, like off rip, kind of puts you in this really seedy, really dirty mindset before the movie even starts, So, definitely buy this at your own risk. It's a really intense film, but it's a really good film, you know what I mean? And it does have me interested to check out Red Crocodile, because just for how dirty I heard that film is, it definitely shows in this. Like I said, this is a really dirty film. I think this was a great way to start off Wild Eye's Raw and Extreme line. It is numbered. There is a 1. And I think, so they're starting this, just numbering them all. It's kind of like a collector's type line. And, from here on out, even if Wild Eye never sends me any more of these Raw and Extreme titles, I'm going to buy them, off the bat, just because, judging by this movie, it's definitely a line I'm interested in collecting as a horror collector, you know what I mean? So, yeah, this deserves to be on your shelf along with all the American Guinea Pigs, with all those type of extreme films, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll leave links to where you could buy this thing, because, yeah, you definitely want to check this out if you want to be shocked. But I know they came out with a second one in the line, Devil's Weekend, which I'm actually going to watch today. So I'll post a review for that one tomorrow to kind of see which one is better. The premise of the second one actually sounds pretty good, but yeah, I don't know if it could, I doubt it'll top the shockingness of this movie, but we'll see. So yeah, I'll post a review for that one tomorrow. But yeah, I was highly impressed with this film. The quality was way above what I was expecting, and like I said, just the pictures alone in the intro are pretty hardcore. So if you're real sensitive to that kind of stuff, I mean, it shows real pictures of the rape and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely worthy of a raw and extreme title. This is intense. But anyways, guys, see you tomorrow. Peace.